stationary movements, and basic drill. If you're someone looking to learn the basics of Air Force ROTC drill and want to improve your drill competency, this video will teach you the skills needed to meet these standards. In this video, we will cover stationary movements like saluting and facing movements, and flight movements like to the rear march and column movements. The position at which all drill movements are performed and called is from the position of attention, which looks like such. The feet make a 45-degree angle with the heels touching, the legs are straight with a slight bend to prevent unconsciousness. The body is straight with the shoulders rotated back and down. The arms are pinned along the sides of the body, and the hands are cupped as if holding a laser pointer, and pinned to the legs so that the thumbs are along the seam of the pants. The cadet will maintain military bearing with a line of sight parallel to the ground. The verbiage for this command is as follows: detail, flight, etc., tench hut, with the preparatory command being detail, flight, etc., and the command of execution being tench hut. There are times when you must render a salute as a formation. Examples of this include reveille and retreat. To properly render a salute, the cadet will guide their right hand up and along their chest to their head. The hand will form a blade, with the fingers all extended and touching, the palm facing down, and the tip of the middle finger resting on the front right corner of the headdress. If not wearing a billed headdress, for example a flight cap, the middle finger will rest on the corner of the right eyebrow, or glasses if the cadet is wearing them. The upper arm will be parallel to the ground. The verbiage for this command is as follows: present, harms, with present being the preparatory command and harms being the command of execution. To reverse this command, the verbiage is as follows: order, harms, with order being the preparatory command and harms being the command of execution. When in formation for extended periods of time, a modified position of attention may be used. This is called parade rest. At the position of parade rest, the cadet will open their stance with their heels 12 inches apart and their hands behind their back, palms facing outwards. The right hand will be placed in the palm of the left with the fingers forming an X. The cadet will still maintain military bearing with the line of sight parallel to the ground. The verbiage for this command is as follows: parade, hest, with parade being the preparatory command and hest being the command of execution. Calling the formation to attention will reverse this command. Facing movements orient cadets so that they are facing another direction. These commands are called at the position of attention with a quick time cadence. To turn to the right, the cadet will execute a right face. Here, the cadet raises their right toe and left heel simultaneously and turns 90 degrees to the right. The cadet will then resume the position of attention. The verbiage for this command is as follows: right, haste, with right being the preparatory command and haste being the command of execution. The movements are mirrored for left face. In certain instances, the flight commander may be required to turn the flight completely around, 180 degrees. In order to do this, they will execute an about face. Here, the cadet will raise their right foot enough to clear the ground and place the ball of the foot behind and to the left of the left heel. The cadet will then turn 180 degrees and resume the position of attention. The verbiage for this command is as follows: about, haste, with about being the preparatory command and haste being the command of execution. The following commands are utilized when cadets have fallen into formation. These must be called and executed with precision and coordination with your peers. Teamwork is paramount in completing these commands. To fall the flight into formation, the flight commander will call fall in. The cadets will then form a flight consisting of 4 elements, with the guide posted to the right of the first element, leader, and the deputy flight commander posted to the left of the last cadet in the 4th element. The flight commander will be 3 paces in front of the first element and centered to the formation. The flight has now fallen into line formation. Executing a right face will put the element leaders at the front of the flight, with the guide executing facing movements to position him or herself in front of the 4th element leader. This is called column formation. When in formation, cadets will establish proper DCID. This acronym stands for dress, cover, interval, and distance. Dress is the alignment of cadets in line. Cover is the alignment of cadets in each column. Interval is the arm length distance between each column, and distance is the 40-inch distance between cadets in line. Once proper DCID is established, the flight commander may drill the flight. Naturally, there will be imperfections when initially falling in and after marching. The following commands exist to correct these imperfections. When in line formation, the flight commander will call dress right Hess, with dress right being the preparatory command and Hess being the command of execution. Cadets will turn their heads 45 degrees to the right and extend their left arm parallel to the ground and make shoulder to fingertip contact with the cadet to their left. The last cadet in each element will not raise their arms, and the element leaders will not turn their heads. Once proper DCID is established, the command ready front is called, with ready being the preparatory command and front being the command of execution. When falling in, an automatic dress right dress will be executed to establish DCID. In column formation, the flight commander will call cover. Cadets will then align themselves off the element leader in front of them and the cadet to their right. Cadets will utilize their peripheral vision and not move their heads or eyes. To get the flight from place to place, the flight commander will march the flight. In column formation, the command forward harch will move the flight forward at quick time. At quick time, the flight will step off with their left foot first and march at 120 beats per minute with 24 inches between the heels at each step. Forward is the preparatory command, and harch is the command of execution. The flight commander will then call the cadence hut, toop, threep, fork. This will be called twice back to back, rested twice back to back, then called again. Remember, 2 on, 2 off. To halt the flight commander will call flight halt, with flight being the preparatory command and halt being the command of execution. Upon the command of execution, cadets will take one more step and then immediately assume the position of attention. While marching, it will be necessary to make turns. To perform a right turn, the flight will perform a column right march. To perform this command, the element leaders will take one more step with their left foot after the command is called and pivot on the left foot, bringing their right foot forward. The fourth element leader will pivot immediately 90 degrees. The rest of the elements will pivot 45 degrees. The third, second, and first elements will take 2, 4, and 6 more steps respectively and make a second 45-degree pivot to the right. Each member of the flight will remain marching forward until they reach the point where their element leader pivoted, at which they will perform the same movements. Once all elements have completely pivoted 90 degrees to the right, they will march in half step until the flight commander gives the command forward harch. The verbiage for this command is column right harch, with column right being the preparatory command and harch being the command of execution. This command is called as the right foot strikes the ground. The movements and step count for the element leaders is mirrored for a column left march. Flanking movements will pivot the entire flight at once, as opposed to gradual pivots. To perform a right flank march, the entire flight will simultaneously take one more step with their left foot and pivot 90 degrees to the right on the left foot, bringing the right foot forward. After pivoting, the flight will remain in quick time. The verbiage for this command is as follows: right flank, harch, with right flank being the preparatory command and harch being the command of execution. This command is called as the right foot strikes the ground. The command and movements are mirrored for a left flank march. Keep in mind, this will change the formation from column to line, and vice versa. There are times when it will be necessary to abruptly turn the flight around. For this circumstance, a to-the-rear march will be necessary. To perform this command, cadets will take one more half step with their left foot, pivot 180 degrees over their right shoulder, take a half step forward with their left foot, and finally a full step with their right foot. Keep in mind the saying, half step, turn, half step, full step. The flight will then proceed at quick time. Keep in mind that this will orient the flight in inverted column formation. The verbiage for this command is as follows: to the rear, harch, with to the rear being the preparatory command and harch being the command of execution. This command is called as the right foot strikes the ground. To move the flight laterally, the command right or left step march may be used. When the command is given, each member of the formation will simultaneously extend their right leg so that their feet are 12 inches apart when measured from the heels. Cadets will then bring their left heel together with the right. This is a step. Cadets will repeat these movements until halt is called. Cadence is called in quick time as the right foot extends. Halt will be called when the heels are together. The verbiage for this command is as follows: right step, harch, with right step being the preparatory command and harch being the command of execution. The movements are mirrored for left step march.